Time or money? There's always this question when we look at training our horses about which we have to actually invest. And for the most part, equestrians will usually have one or the other. Well, in this episode, I want to help you to decide which would be better for you to invest when it comes to training your horse. Okay, let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. My name is Orna Leeson. I'm an equestrian trainer and coach, and I help riders go from feeling a little bit guilty, maybe a little bit stuck, to actually having outlines for each ride that they can use, especially if they're training their horse alone. Okay, and that's what I want to talk about here, because very often many riders find themselves in this little bit of a conundrum, which is to really make the decision which they are going to actually invest when it comes to training their horse. Now, for many riders, this can be a very obvious decision. It's like, okay, I don't have the time, but I do have the money. And so many riders complain about having the JOB exactly for this issue. You know, if I don't have the JOB, I can't have the horse, you know. It's a catch-22 for many people. But then you've other riders who are like, no, you know what? I actually have the time, but I don't have the money to invest. And either way, I feel can work, okay? And I also think that there are definite pros and cons when it comes to kind of choosing each one of these kind of ways of doing it. Now, obviously, you can also throw time and money at it, but you know, if you're in that situation, well, go you. I am like really glad for you. But for the most part, I think many riders, they really and truly have to offset one with the other. And it does really and truly depend on the unique situation that they find themselves in. Okay, so let's say you have time, okay? You've got your time. You've kind of decided, yes, I'm going to do this. I can train my horse by myself. I have the time to do it. And I want to talk a little bit about the upside of this, okay? The pros of doing this with your horse, okay? So first and foremost, I think that one of the biggest bonuses or pluses or advantages of this is that you and your horse actually get to really and truly develop the bond between you. And I think this can sometimes be overlooked, but really and truly, if you can start off with your horse, and you know, let's be honest, let's not sugarcoat it here now, okay? Let's be honest in saying that it may be tough going initially, but if you are willing to really and truly commit to this and to stay going, like stay the line, this is going to help later so much, especially when those challenges show up. Because let's face it, if you and your horse trust each other, and if you and your horse know each other, okay, and you've developed this partnership, it means that there's so much more there for actually working through the challenges. And hey, let's be honest, the challenges are definitely going to show up, okay? So that is my very first plus point for this. Now, the second thing that I want to bring into this is that you get to really and truly, I suppose, explore your own unique training style and also to put your personal touches to it, okay? So to have this personal approach to what you're doing, okay? And I think you also get to have the freedom to almost like tailor the training sessions to suit you and your horse's individual needs. So for example, this personalized training program that you now get to create for your horse can almost like be used, you can adapt it to your horse's unique temperament. You can use and experiment with different techniques. It also allows you to actually tailor the program to your specific schedule and needs. You get to choose what to work on and when to work on it when it comes to your horse and your training program. And for many riders, that is absolutely priceless, okay? So I think it is a really important thing to mention when we're talking about the pros of going it alone and going with time, okay? Time has been the thing that you're going to invest. Okay, the third big positive in this is that you actually get to develop your skills, and horses are such fantastic teachers, okay? They're really and truly, like, there's this whole thing I always say to the children about consequence and how a horse is just such a good teacher when it comes to like really and truly showing you the direct results of your actions, okay? And I think that when you begin to get aware or become aware, okay, that you're actually showing up as this trainer, you actually also then get to tweak things, and you get to then notice the differences that those tweaks are making when it comes to working with your horse, okay? And of course, as I said, your horse being the teacher here, he's going to provide feedback all the way, which is actually going to help you refine and develop and tweak things more and more and more going forward. And again, just like at the beginning when we were talking about the partnership or the bond, it may be slow going at the beginning. Like, let's be honest, okay? It's going to take time for the two of you to kind of get into a rhythm, okay? And kind of begin to really and truly get this working for you. But it is so valuable further down the road. Okay, now, it's not all sunshine and roses, hey? So if you have time to invest, there's also a couple of drawbacks to this. And this is where I want to talk about this now. So the first one is a very obvious lack of knowledge. Now, I thoroughly believe that experts are experts for a reason, okay? And that they usually have developed their expertise over time and through lots and lots of different experiences. When you kind of choose to go with the time route over maybe investing money in an expert, it can sometimes be, and especially initially, difficult to identify where things are going wrong, okay? And then it can also be difficult to like correct any issues that are showing up, okay? Now, this goes for both behavioral issues and also training issues. And at the end of the day, it may actually limit your progress and prevent you from reaching your full potential as a rider, and also prevent your horse from reaching his full potential in his career as well. And I do think that that's important, okay? I also think that when people are going down the time route, very often it's because of a lack of money there to invest. And you know, it is important to understand that if you choose the time route, I would say then at some point, hopefully you would get into the position where you can also invest some money in a trainer, in an expert as well, okay? And I do think that that's really important. The second thing that can come up, ironically enough, is time constraints, hey? Yeah, so you're going with the time route, but for so many riders, they just really and truly fail to realize what's actually needed to kind of get that consistent progress when you're working with a horse, okay? It requires not just an investment of time, but like a significant investment of time. And this won't work for everybody, okay? You're going to have all your other commitments, maybe it's work or family or studies, whatever it is for you. And being consistent is absolutely essential if you and your horse are actually going to make progress. So it is important to recognize that very often, yeah, you might have time to invest, but have you enough time, and enough time that you're not going to feel really stressed and frazzled every time you're at the yard, and you're not going to be looking at your schedule feeling awfully guilty because you're not at the yard. So it is important to take that into account. Now, let's talk about the other side of the coin, so to speak, okay? Investing money. Now, this can be, for many riders, the option they want to go with. And particularly, I've noticed like this kind of there seems to be this point in many riders' lives where initially they may have the time, and then later it kind of flips. Then they have the money, they've got the disposable income, but then the time becomes a little bit scarce, okay? So there's definitely a flip now. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I've seen kind of this kind of correlation for many riders. And I do think that if you have money to invest, obviously there's also like a lot of positives to that. And the very first one would be that you're getting expert guidance. So we spoke about how important the expert is, okay? But this is somebody who's doing this on a daily basis. Like they are, because they're day in and day out working with this, doing this, working with horses, they know how to avoid so many of the issues that are going to show up along the way. And like when you don't know, you don't know, okay? But these people do know. And you're getting basically to piggyback off their, if you want, like they've got this big bank of experience and knowledge, and now you get to piggyback off it, okay? And this is especially useful when it comes to correcting any mistakes that show up, okay? So I think that also if we think about introducing new ideas, new maybe new concepts inside the training can also be absolutely invaluable, because your horse ends up feeling a lot less confused, but also, and this is the second point, things go quicker, okay? So it's like if you have somebody who has the map to go from A to B to C to D, well, you're going to get there a whole lot quicker than somebody who's just wandering around, like kind of hoping that they pitch there at some point on the journey, okay? And really and truly, when you're working with an expert and when they really and truly know your horse and they're kind of in charge of, if you want the journey, okay, so they're driving, okay, it just makes it so much easier. It's like a shortcut. It's like being able to take the shortcut, and you can't do that when you're doing it yourself, okay? And I do think that it's really, really important. And then the third part of this, and I feel it's just as important, is that very often there is a safety and a confidence element that if you are working without a trainer, they can be missing, okay? When you've got the trainer or the expert, the coach, whatever it is with you, okay, and they're actually working, they're actually equipped to handle the situations as they occur. They know what to do for the most part. And if they don't, they have a good idea about what to do. And we can often, if you're like, I don't know about you, but me, if I'm doing something that I'm not really 100% sure about, I don't really feel that confident in myself, hey? I'm like, I don't know if I can do this or not. I tell you, recently I was actually out hiking, and I had to cross a river, and the river was fairly full, and there was like these kind of logs, and they were very precariously kind of just packed there from, obviously the river had pushed them downstream or whatever. And I'm like trying to kind of walk across this, and I'm thinking, can't I? I don't know. And meanwhile, there was actually somebody with me who was like a seasoned hiker, and they just like flew across. And I was like, oh, okay. So that lack of confidence was what held me back. There was nothing physical that held me back. Like I wasn't slipping and falling and lose my balance or anything, but I didn't feel confident in my own abilities to get across, and that held me back. And that is so important to consider when you're going this route alone. And I do think that, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you're in the arena, and I see this all the time, if somebody's riding in the arena on their own, they don't tend to do as well. And, I'll be peeking around and just watching them and, looking at it and kind of observing. But if I'm in the arena with them, they seem to just ride better just because I'm there. Okay? I don't have to be doing that. And I could be just like, doing poles or, setting things up or whatever. But every now and then I'll give them a little tip and I'll say, I think you should try this. And have you tried that? Or, oh, that's interesting. Maybe you're forgetting to do this or whatever. And then that can just transform everything. It just changes everything because they feel confident. And it's literally just because I'm there. And I know if you've ridden with a trainer and without a trainer in an arena, you can probably relate to that as well. So that's important. Now, there are also cons to investing only money in training your horse. And I do think that this is really important. And I see so many riders fall into kind of, I don't want to say it's a trap, but they feel a little bit disillusioned. They'll spend a lot of money sending their horse away to be trained. And then, it's not what they thought it was going to be 6 months or however long down the road, okay? Now, the first thing, if we're talking about the cons for just investing money, would obviously be financial constraints, okay? I think a lot of people don't actually realise how much money it costs to actually have a horse in training. It's a big thing. It's a big investment. And it's important to really and truly understand that. I think a lot of the time we can kind of say, oh, what, I'll cut here and we'll skimp there and, I'll make it work. And then, it can almost lead to this sense of resentment for your horse, for the process, for the trainer, for the yard. I don't know, the whole thing, okay? It just kind of sours it. So it is important to make sure that you're not getting yourself into trouble with that and you're not going to fall into this kind of space or this, I don't know, this part of your life where maybe training your horse actually doesn't align with your current resources. So that's important. The second part that I find can really end up showing up is this lack of independence. And what'll end up happening is the horse will come back or the rider will go to the horse. And when the trainer's not there, it just doesn't work. It's like it might work for maybe a little while, and then they'll find that, hold on, actually this is no good. The other side of this can be that the schedules don't align, okay? And now you're only able to ride when you and your trainer's schedule kind of align. It's like the stars align and you can now ride together. And that can be a real challenge for a lot of people, okay? I do think that being able to create your own plan and being able to have this level of independence when it comes to riding your horse and training your horse and working through your own problems is really important. And that's why I think, especially horses that are being sent away and that you have no input, the horse is going somewhere away and then the horse comes back to you. Like you have not seen the horse since it left and then it comes back. I don't know if that works all the time, because I do feel that a lot of it is dependent on the actual trainer being present. So it is something to consider as well. So at the end of the day, I don't think either one is better than the other. I think they both have some really positive things and they both have a couple of handbrakes along the way, okay? So I do think that what matters is your personal circumstances and what is going to suit you, okay? Remember, if you're going to invest your time, it allows for that deeper bond. It allows for basically more flexibility when it comes to training schedule, and it also makes you a better trainer and a better rider at the end of the day, okay? However, you can also be on the struggle bus for a long time due to a lack of experience. And, you might have other commitments in life, meaning you don't realize how much time it's actually going to take. Now, other side of the coin, as we said, invest in the money. You get this expert guidance. You also get to kind of fast track things a little bit. You're not on the struggle bus for as long. And also there's that added feeling of confidence and safety, which is really important, okay? Like you can kind of borrow it from them when you're with them, okay? And so can your horse, and that's important. But then the other side of that is that very often it is a big financial responsibility that you now have on your shoulders. And not only that, there's also this kind of developing a dependency on the trainer, which is probably not going to help you and your horse move forward. So this is why for many riders, I actually recommend a blend. If they can blend it, that is probably the best way to go forward. If you've any experience at all in this, I'd love to hear from you. You can shoot me an email, lorna@stridesforsuccess.com. And also, if you're interested in going further with your horse, I'm going to invite you to sign up for the waitlist. I'm beginning a brand new program starting September for you and your horse, and I'm going to be working very, very closely with a limited number, a very small group of riders. I want to take them through this program, see how they go. If you're interested in learning more about that, sign up for the waitlist. You can find it over at stridesforsuccess.com/waitlist. There we go. Okay, I am going to leave it at that. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.